Charlie Mullins, welcome to Acting Prime Minister, and thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
It's a pleasure, Paul, and it's probably going to be the nearest I ever get to being Prime Minister. But as you say never.
Never say never. I can see you're in Spain at the moment, aren't you? Are you weathering out the pandemic there?
Yes, in Marbella at the moment, and fortunately we have a business out here, and I can come and work out here and still obviously work back in London. So and the weather's great. So yeah, very pleased that things are going for us.
I've seen you get a bit of flack before on Twitter for being out in Spain or Dubai during the pandemic, but you say you are working out there, are you? So I suppose under the rules.
Yeah, I have a business out here. We have a small branch out here, and I'm working. And the haters are going to hate me, and the people that like me. So that's how life is today. But it's not a worry. I know what I'm doing is correct, and so things are fine with that. And business is great, so we're obviously doing something correct. And just can't wait now for things to get back to some form of normality.
So business is good at the moment. What do you think is driving business for plumbing at the moment?
Oh, I can't say for other businesses, obviously in plumbing, but from our point of view, undoubtedly, I think it's the fact that the company is really pushing to send out engineers that are safe. We're very sort of COVID safe company now, and we put a lot of things into place. We're actually testing engineers on a regular basis, and before an engineer goes in a job, if the customer requires it, he can self-test himself and have the result within a couple of minutes. They're all geared up with gloves, footwear, masks, sanitizers, all in their vehicles. And their head office is the same. Everybody that comes in there needs to have a COVID test. And we have temperature scanners in there and screens and self-distancing. We have an health and safety officer that's full-time on it. And I feel now that it's paid off dividends because, our business has gone up 20%. Our engineers are very happy that they're safe. And I believe their families are very happy when they go home that, they're not going to bring the virus home because of the testing situation. We came out with this testing a few months before the government decided to do it, and it's definitely paying dividends. It's the only way forward.
All right, well, let's imagine for a moment that it's paid so many dividends that people are so enamoured with Charlie Mullins that you've got all the way into number 10 now, and you are Prime Minister. So we always do this with all our guests. We like to get you settled into number 10 to begin with. And what is the personal item that you'd like to take from home with you into Downing Street?
Personal item, number 10. Okay. On my desk at work, I have an old pound note that's been laminated, and that's on my desk all day and every day. It's been there many years, and for me, that reminds me of when I first started working, and the reason we went to work was, one of the reasons was, obviously to earn money and put food on the table, and I think that having that around me all the time, it reminds me of my sort of start of my working life. It's also given me self-respect. It's made me in a position to hold my head up high. I become sort of part of society. It makes you feel good. It gives you confidence. I think it sends out the right message. Also, the fact that you're sort of working for a living, an honest day's work, and you're being rewarded for that. And I just think it's a big start in the change of somebody going into the workplace. And it's something you're going to be there for 50 odd years, hopefully. And that just reminds me of where I come from. It reminds me of the value of money, of how many doors it can open for you, where it can get you in life. And of course, it also brings a sense of a good feeling that you're also helping others with it. You're earning money, you can spend money, you're getting other people into work. It encourages people if you get some nice things by going to work. So I would say undoubtedly, I would take that with me to remind me of, where I come from and, how helpful it has been to have gone to work and be able to earn some money.
Okay, so work ethic is going to be really important to you. You need a bit of dinner as well, though. So what are you going to have for your first meal in number 10?
Oh, well, that's an easy one for me. Undoubtedly, it would be a well-cooked sirloin steak,
Lovely.
chips, onions, mushrooms, 2 slices of bread, and a big tub of mustard, and a
Nice.
cup of tea. That would be undoubtedly my favourite meal.
White or brown bread?
Not brown bread, no, white bread. I'm not. No, I'm not into eating healthy. I'm just into eating something that you enjoy, and let's hope they can cook the steak good. The people in number 10.
Who's the first person you'd call as Prime Minister?
Phew, there's so many. Okay, current situation. Undoubtedly, I would have a conference call to start with, and it would be Matt Hancock, the Air Health Minister. What's his name? Naheed Saeed.
Nadeem Zahawi,
Yeah.
the vaccines minister.
The vaccine minister, and then it would be Pratik Patel. And my message to them would be: we need to make sure and roll out the situation that we have the vaccine passport. No more talking about it. No more pussyfooting about with it. Let's get it moving. Let's get a government scheme out there, and let's get everybody working on it as soon as possible. No more sort of pretending we might have it, we might not have it. It's the only way that we are being offered to get out of the current situation. We now need to stop talking. We need to make it happen. And as a Prime Minister, it's the Prime Minister needs to say, this is what we're gonna do. This is the way to get back to where we was, and let's get on with it, and let's all work together on it. And no more doubting about it. There's no other option. And you know, as a Prime Minister, I would make that very, very clear to the nation. And I would obviously get these 3 people working on it immediately and get a scheme rolled out that is going to be successful. Undoubtedly, that's what I'll be doing.
I was going to ask you about this later, Charlie, because we've talked before about vaccine passports, and just to explain to the listeners, obviously this is the idea that if you go to a pub or even if you go to work, then you'd need a certificate to say you've had your vaccine, so that other people know that they're safe to be around you. And you've already introduced this essentially at Pimlico Plumbers, haven't you? Because you've said you want all your staff to have had all new starters to have had the vaccine. But are you saying it would be a lot more helpful for business if the government put this into law as well then?
Well, look, undoubtedly, 2 or 3 months ago, I came up with the idea, no jab, no job. And that's something we're carrying out at Pimlico Plumbers. Nobody's going to come and work for us unless they've had the vaccine and they've got proof that they've had it. We're not going to send engineers out to customers' houses once the vaccine is properly rolled out unless they've had the vaccine. So for me, it's a no-brainer. From a business point of view, it's a must. And, the quicker that everybody acknowledges that, without proof of the vaccine, you can't go into a pub, club, restaurant, gymnasium, anywhere at all. You can't travel, theatre. You can't even go into work. I mean, personally, I have to say, I don't even think that we should allow people on the streets unless they've had the vaccine. Obviously, it's been controversial, but I go back to what I'm saying. There's no other option. We've been offered one option to work our way through this virus and get back to some normality, and that's having the jab. And all we now require is a document to prove that we've had it, whether it's on our phone, whether it's a card we carry. I really don't care. We prove that we've had it, and I just think it's a case of making it happen, and the quicker the better. And obviously, as soon as myself as Prime Minister gets behind it, then everyone will believe in it. We've got behind the rollout of the vaccine. Now we've just got to get behind the scheme that proves that you've got a vaccine passport. And that's the only way and the quickest way we will get back to some normality in our lives.
All right, Charlie. So as Prime Minister, you can decide all sorts of things, and you can decide on your own cabinet. I mean, you've already suggested that maybe Matt Hancock, Nadeem Zahawi and Priti Patel will keep their jobs. But who's the first person you'd sack from the cabinet? Because you've got to make room for some other people.
To be honest, there's many of them, if I'm being honest. I think we need more. No, there is. I have to be honest. We need more working class people in there. We need people with common sense. I would say probably, well, at least half of them will go. There's no 2 ways about it. The 3 I just mentioned would undoubtedly stay. No 2 ways about that. And I would bring in a lot of fresh blood, and more sort of normal working class people. I mean, there ain't many of them that are floating around out there at the moment. So I'd probably be honest, I'd come away from, I know that they've got to become an MP, but I would start encouraging more working class people that we could get into the government, and then get them into the cabinet. There's no two ways about that. We must get people with common sense, people that can make a decision. I'll get a few businessmen in and all, you know, the Alan Sugar people.
Alan Sugar, yeah. Who else?
Yeah, Peter Jones, them type of people. People that have got a business background, but have also, you know, work on common sense and not afraid to sit on or give an opinion. We need people that don't want to sit on the fence. We need people who are going to be prepared to put their head above the parapet wall, but also realistic people. So there've been many changes, undoubtedly, on that.
Well, let's talk a bit about your path to power now as Prime Minister, Charlie, a bit about your background. So I think partly why you're talking about passionately about working class people is because you grew up yourself on a council estate in London, didn't you? And your dad worked in a factory and your mum was a cleaner. And you left school at 15 without any qualifications, getting an apprenticeship as a plumber. And then obviously you set up your own company from a basement in Pimlico in 1979, which is now a multi-million-pound business. So, you know, you really are a kind of rags to riches story, if you don't mind me saying it like that.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, what was your childhood like, Charlie?
It was come from a very poor background, very working class family. I had 3 brothers. And the first place I remember that we lived as a family was just renting some rooms, you know, no bathroom, outside toilet. Money was a struggle, second-hand clothes. Didn't really go to school a lot. I used to bunk off school and try and earn some money with like a local plumber or any jobs at all, just to get some money in. But of course, at that time, many other people was in the same situation. And, you know, I had this opportunity that I started working with a local plumber when I wasn't at school. And, you know, he had all the nice things, you know, motorbike, bike, car, nice clothes, money, nice house, holidays. It just seemed to have all and everything. And I remember him saying to me then that, you know, if you take an apprenticeship in plumbing, you'll never be out of work, and you'll earn lots of money. And that's the type of thing I say to youngsters now. So I think the upbringing that I had has got me where I am today. It makes me appreciate sort of all the nice things in life, but it also makes me realise how difficult it is for so many other people that are struggling, you know, in the country today. And undoubtedly, my turning point was, you know, being inspired by the good things that this guy had. And, you know, the old saying used to be, you know, hard work never killed anybody. And that's true.
And so you were inspired by this guy that you met, but what was your relationship like with your parents?
It wasn't that good. I mean, it just wasn't that good. It was difficult in the sense that, you know, they had great work ethics. And, you know, I wouldn't say that they necessarily was what I would call sort of model coddlers as children. It was a bit like, you know, I probably would say rather than, you know, I was brought up, I was dragged up. But again, I go back to, you know, that's where I am today because of the way I was brought up. And, you know, my work ethics are second to none. And, you know, the inspiration that I give to people now that are finding it difficult and tough is, you know, you never give up, basically. But it was a tough background. But, you know, for many years as a youngster, I used to do many jobs like milk run, deliver bag wash, run errands, car washing, gardening, tidying things up, people and the plumbing, working as chip shop, doing the potatoes. So I've had many jobs. And I learned then that, you know, by working, obviously it gives you money, and the money then gives you the food and the opportunities and to get the nicer things in life. And, you know, I remember all them years ago, I used to come home from school and go to the local shops and ask them what errands they want running. So I'd go to the greengrocers and she'd say she wants some cigarettes. And I'd go to the cigarette shop and he'd say, he wants some potatoes. So I found I was getting money I was getting 2 lots of money for doing these jobs. And I thought to myself, how clever is that to think that, I've gone to one place to get her stuff. I get there, he wants some stuff, I'll get it from her. And I carried that on sort of every night of the week doing the errands. And I just thought, what a clever way of making money. And I used to keep it quiet at the time because I thought I'd be in terrible trouble if people found out. But I was doing nothing wrong. I was just really getting on with it and trying to make some money.
And as the kind of self-made man, the kind of white van man, as Margaret Thatcher would have sort of looked at it,
you're talking to the Prime Minister, don't you?
I know, yeah, but and I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a disparaging way at all. It's just I was coming on to the point about Margaret Thatcher in the 80s, because she really made a bid for the kind of white van man in Essex, the self-made, works for himself, drives around in his van, grafter kind of person. That's who she really went to for a vote in the 80s that gave her these massive majorities. And she's a big hero of yours, isn't she? Because that's where a lot of your politics comes from.
Undoubtedly. Margaret Thatcher, I thought was tremendous. The way she didn't sit on the fence, the way she told people when she thought they was wrong, never afraid to give her opinion. Very rarely had to apologise because of it, because she believed in what she was saying. And I have to say that was my second inspiration person in my life. First one was Bill Ellis, the plumber. The second one was Thatcher telling us we can buy our house, we can get our own business, we can succeed, we can be, a bigger part of society. And that was the person through my working career that I listened to, and I just admired her so much. And it's just unfortunate we haven't got more people like Margaret Thatcher in the government today, because we'd be in a tremendous position. We wouldn't be beholden to anybody. We'd be leaders rather than followers. I mean, what a person she was. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I know I'm Prime Minister now, but I would have married Margaret Thatcher. That's how good she was.
Really?
Oh, honestly, unbelievable.
She's definitely a big hero of yours.
Undoubtedly. I mean, we've never had anybody as good as her since. I mean, my other person that I used to respect years ago was Winston Churchill. Incredible guy. And for me, Margaret Thatcher was a female version of Winston Churchill.
And you did donate for a long time to the Conservative Party, didn't you? But you stopped recently. Why was that?
Yeah, I basically stopped because of our vote on Brexit. I don't think it's the best thing for us as a country. Very disappointed that it went against us. And, I don't really want to be putting money into a situation or government now that feel or they're telling us that how good Brexit's going to be for us. I disbelieve that. I think we had a good situation going when we was in the EU, and we're going to be on a very tricky and rocky road for a number of years now.
Do you think Brexit's worked out as badly as you feared?
It's only just started, as you know, very recently that we've left there, and I don't think it's filtered through yet the damage it's going to cause. Undoubtedly there's going to be price increases which have already happened. There's delays on getting goods. There's going to be a shortage on getting stuff. And unfortunately, many job losses. Obviously, I'm getting on with it, the situation that we have to accept it, and we've got to all work together. And I'm happy to do that. But I just feel it's unnecessary for us to have left at this stage, especially with the pandemic out there. I mean, that's going to be hard enough for us to get our head around. But to have a double blow with the Brexit, I just think I have to say, it's going to be a very rocky road for a number of years.
So big fan of Margaret Thatcher. What about Boris Johnson? Because obviously he led the campaign to leave the EU. What do you think of him as Prime Minister?
I've got to be careful because, no, I mean, I have, look, I like Boris Johnson. I like a lot about Boris Johnson. I feel that his time's up for Prime Minister. I think we need somebody that's not a people pleaser no longer. We need somebody that's prepared to put their head above the parapet wall. And, I think time's up for Boris. I think he's done a great job on the rollout of the vaccine. He's done a great job, I think, of uniting the country together. But now we need to move forward. We need someone that, as I say, is going to be a bit more opinionated and start leading us to back to a great country that we used to be. But as a Prime Minister, he's done what he had to do, but it's time up for him now.
And you once called Jeremy Corbyn something a bit rude on the radio. But what do you think of Keir Starmer, the new Labour leader?
I actually like him. I think he seems to be very assertive. He's certainly one of the better leaders that they've had in recent times. Yeah, look, I think he's okay. It sounds a crazy thing to say, but it's a pity that all the different like the Labour and Liberal Dems and Conservatives, they can't all work together more. I mean, we all want what's good for everybody, and it's just so sort of frustrating that the opposition have to come up against, they don't agree with this, they don't agree with that. And I think we've got it wrong in politics. I think there should be a system that we work together more, rather than knocking each different sort of party. And I think it's just so damaging. But he's the best I've had for a long, long while.
And you were thinking about running in the London mayoral elections, weren't you, Charlie? But you're not going to do that now. Why did you decide not to go for it in the end?
I'm afraid to say it's because of the Brexit situation. I just feel that we're going to have such an unbelievable, difficult time, and to be the London mayor would be an incredibly difficult job, more so now than ever because of Brexit. And I just feel that my time now is going to be more important that I continue working with apprentices and getting youngsters into work. It's weakened off a lot lately, apprenticeships, and they government really haven't had anybody that can understand it properly and move it forward. I think when Cameron and Osborne was there, I was working quite closely with them, and apprenticeships were booming. But unfortunately, last couple of years, it's gone completely the other way. And I think that if we don't get hold of it now, it's going to be the end of apprenticeships. And I think I said earlier in our interview, the biggest change in my life, and I think in many, many people's life, is when you get into the workplace and you get a job and it totally changes you for life. And I'm now going to concentrate on, pushing forward more and more apprentices and more youngsters getting a job. I come up with a scheme with Cameron and Osborne at the time where instead of giving youngsters, this unemployment benefit, they should turn it into a work sort of benefit, give it to the employer who can then put that towards a wage to take on youngsters. And that's all we need to do. Just stop giving them money to sit at home and watch telly. Give them money to go to work. Help the employer out that he can take on more people. And, it's a win-win-win situation. When youngsters leave school, they need to either be going university, which, isn't everybody, or they've got a job, or they go into a government-funded apprenticeship. And youth unemployment would be resolved, skill shortage would be resolved, and we would have crime would also be cut down, and the amount of money that the country would save by getting youngsters into work is incredible. And that's something that I'd like to see happen in the future.
Okay, so apprenticeships will be a big priority for you as Prime Minister. Obviously, there's some other things that will come across your desk that you've got less control over, and the pandemic, which we've already talked about a little bit, is dominating at the moment. What do you make about the current sort of timescale for lifting lockdown? Because deaths are going down quite quickly now, and a lot of businesses are obviously on their knees. Do you think maybe we should be lifting lockdown a bit more quickly?
Undoubtedly. If they would have done what I'd done many months ago, self-testing, getting the test kits out there, then we wouldn't be in this situation. And then, again, I know we couldn't, do much more. We was all, dreaming of getting a cure for it or getting an answer to it, which came around about in December or before Christmas. Well, once we got that, the rollout's been tremendous. It's just a lack now on the fact of the vaccine passport. I've never been more sure than anything that it's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's no way around it. And I go back to what I was saying is, let's get it moving. Let's stop talking. Let's get it out there. It shouldn't take an acting prime minister to be able to come up with this. It should be someone that's doing the job full time. And so I just feel there's only one way forward. Let's make it happen. We need action.
And what about extending the furlough scheme to September? Because that raised a few eyebrows of people thinking, oh, is that really how long things are going to go on for? How do you feel about that?
It's incorrect. The government has come up with a scheme to give people, or they're incentivising people to stay at home and do nothing. It's the wrong message. Obviously, you've got to help people that generally can't go to work, but there's no reason that we're in the massive lockdown that we're in if they would have just, taken proper action. So I'm not really one for the furlough. As a business, we incentivise people to come and work. We give them £20 a day bonus. We give them free food all day. We give them hot and cold drinks all day. We give them parking facilities. We're laid on self-testing, or we testing people in the workplace. We've made it very, very sort of interesting to come to work, and the government have made it very interesting not to come to work. And one of us has got it wrong, and me as Prime Minister hasn't got it wrong.
Okay, well, look, we're almost out of time. I can't believe it, Charlie, because things have flown by. But look, let's do some quick fire questions just to finish off the podcast. Firstly, who would you love to invite to number 10 as Prime Minister? You can invite anyone from any walk of life that you like.
Believe it or not, I would invite David Cameron with the purpose of trying to get him back into politics and ideally back as Prime Minister again. I feel that, we've gone backwards by not having him there. So for me, it'd be David Cameron.
Interesting. What song would you want to come onto stage to at party conference? Have you got like a sort of motivational song that you like?
Motivation. Well, everybody reckons I look a bit like Rod Stewart, so I'm going to say, "Wake up, Maggie, Maggie May."
What would your Downing Street pet be?
I'd definitely have a dog and a Pomeranian. And what would I be calling him? Let me think. My dog at number 10. I'll be calling him number 10.
And lastly, Charlie, I mean, you've said that you've ruled yourself out now of the London mayoral elections, but would you ever think about going into politics maybe later on?
Yeah, look, undoubtedly, I would love to be involved in politics. It's screaming out for somebody with common sense. It's screaming out for somebody from a working class background. It's screaming out for somebody that can put their head above the parapet wall. Yeah, I'd love to do it. I actually feel I would do very well at it, because it needs somebody that's outspoken and not afraid to give their proper opinion and say it as it is. So it's so much needed now that somebody with common sense and working class. So hopefully, it's still something that I want to do and something I think I will do. And if I get an opportunity again for the London Mayor and it comes around again, I've got to go for it, because we can't continue with people sitting on the fence. We've got to have someone that's assertive. We've got to have someone that's in the real world, and most importantly, common sense. So yeah, undoubtedly, I could be going into politics.
All right, we'll watch this space then. Charlie Mullins, thanks so much for coming on Acting Prime Minister. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, much appreciated. Just got to make a call now to Elizabeth. Thank you.